Here first boxing we have Stephen Espinoza. I can honestly say 2018 was a big year of boxing. I mean, every year is just getting bigger and bigger. You still got Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder right around the corner 2 weeks away. You guys announced this big event coming up. I mean, so much stuff. With PBC working with Fox, I think Fox and Showtime, it's like a brother network, right? You guys are connected somehow.
Look, I think, we, you know, they're competitors in the sense they're another network in the sport, and we all want as good events as we have. But the reality, we're working on the same product, and you know, we are working toward the same goals, and that's to build boxers into big events and big personalities. So when you have the common goal, there are ways that we can work together and collaborate. So I think this is something that will be coordinated through PBC, and you'll see some cooperation. They'll have great fights, we'll have great fights. I think the sport as a whole will benefit, and I think for Showtime subscribers, nothing really changes. I think our expectation is that in 2019 will be exactly what we've been, which is the destination for more of the top tier fights and more of the top tier fighters than anywhere else. We are the home of the premium top level fights, and we'll continue to be there.
This is a big step right here. I mean, as you see, this press conference, all this press that came through, you got Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao hasn't fought, was 2 years in the States. There was some issues with tax and stuff like that. Looks like Mr. Al Heyman was able to fix that whole deal out. Had to probably pay a lot of money just to bring him into this whole thing. This is a big fight between him and Broner. How do you see that fight going down?
It's intriguing because they're two of the most athletically gifted fighters in the sport. If probably the first thing people come to mind when they think of Pacquiao is his unique style. His speed, his quickness, and just athleticism. And I think the same with Broner. I mean, if you take away all the flash and the personality and some of the outrageous statements, fundamentally he's a really athletic, really talented fighter. Very quick, good power, and underrated heart. I mean, he could have packed it in against Maidana. A lot of fighters have, but he fought 12 rounds, and he's probably winning the last 2 or 3 of that fight. Same thing against Porter. Fighting to the very end, even though we all know Porter is a lot bigger than Broner. So what I know is this: you've got 2 fighters with a lot of heart, a lot of pride, a lot of athleticism. I think that's a recipe for an exciting fight, for an action fight, and that's what we all like.
It's a beautiful fight. The undercard, possibility Gervonta Davis versus Abner Morris?
It's been mentioned, and Gervonta and Tank are training together, with Kevin Cunningham. The reality, I think, we'll have to balance it out. That's one that I would love to have on Showtime as well. So that remains to be seen, but there's plenty of good fights. Mayweather fighters, MP Promotions fighters. There's plenty of guys who are due for a fight. So I think it'll be a strong undercard.
Let me just step back again. When PBC did that Fox presentation, that press conference, they announced all those fights. I mean, there's about 2 events each month that they got. With Showtime, with so many events, I mean, 2019 is gonna be a lot of boxing.
Yeah, if you look at just Showtime and Fox, you're probably talking right there 3, sometimes 4 weekends a month, just between those 2. And there's some quality fights. I mean, look, I'm really interested to see Danny Garcia and Adrian Granados. Granados is no quit in him either, a tough guy. And I think that's a great style matchup. Some of the FS1 shows are really good as well. I mean, Caleb Plant and Uskategi, is a great matchup. So there's, the Turkish guy with Jarrell, is a great matchup. So I think
Adam Kovnatsky.
Yeah, well, that one's one that obviously a lot of people identify. That'll be a fun fight, and I think Adam is quietly becoming one of the most fun, exciting young fighters in the sport. And I'm sure he's got an eye on what happens with Wilder and Fury, and you never know what could happen in 2019.
Last question. What are your thoughts with this whole Matchroom boxing, the zone? Where does it lead them? Where all these fighters pretty much already booked up with fights on PBC with the Fox and Showtime. How do you see that whole movement?
Well, I think they need to shift their business model. I mean, their initial business model very explicitly was, let's try to steal all the fighters other people have built. Which is a great great shortcut, but that hasn't worked out. So now they're in the position of just like everybody else.
They got to start from the ground up and build up their fighters now.
And I think that's really the test of whether it's a promotion company or a network. How do they contribute to the building of fighters? And they tried the shortcut, as often is the case. Shortcuts don't work. There's no substitute for hard work, and it is hard building a fighter. But they certainly have experience in the UK. They're learning in the US, and I think now there's plenty of talent, and it's now their turn to sort of roll their sleeves up and start building their own fighters.
Last question: Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. How you see that fight going down, my friend?
That's probably the most intriguing one because you have such a difference in styles. You've got one guy. Well, actually, both are pretty unorthodox. They're unique styles, each of them, in Tyson Fury. I think we'll know what's going to happen after about 2 or 3 rounds. If it is a boxing match, then it's going to be a long night for Deontay. If it's a brawl, then I don't think Fury finishes the fight on his feet. But the whole battle will be whose style wins out. Who can impose whose style on the fight.
Beautiful. Always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Always.
Thanks for coming out.
Always.
Steven, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.